Des Moines, Iowa. There's a bookmaker, or many, in Des Moines, Iowa. Whether it's some little town in Kentucky, there's a bar somewhere where there's a bookmaker and people know to go talk to him and get an account, or golf course or whatnot. And even if there's not, there's a bookmaker that has a runner that will go down there and deal with these people, or send a Venmo or a Cash App or whatever it is. So at the end of the day, there's availability for illegal bookmakers throughout the country.
Hey guys, my name is Will Yakowitz. I'm a senior writer with Forbes magazine. I report on the wonderful world of vices, and today I'm here with Mathew Bowyer. And for anyone who has been, I guess, not paying attention, you might not know Mathew Bowyer, but so Matt was the bookie for Ippei Mizuhara, the interpreter for Shohei Ohtani, the Dodgers player, and one of the best players in baseball, if not today's best in history, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I think the best athlete on the planet, in my opinion.
Right.
I mean, truly, he's incredible. But thanks for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Matt.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So about 2 years ago, in October 23, your house was raided. Can you tell us what happened and why your house got raided?
It was October 5th at 9:30 in the morning, and I was putting my son in my wife's car, and I heard FBI freeze. I looked over, and there was 8 AR rifles and full tactical gear, 29 agents, a dog, and then about 8 hours later, after they ransacked our home and cleaned it out every which way, I realized they were there, I thought, because of Shohei Ohtani, but it really wasn't. It was a Las Vegas investigation that KYC, casinos, is what led them really to me, and I'm sure many other things, but in particular that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you got sentenced last month to 12 months and 1 day.
Correct.
Right? And
yeah.
when are you surrendering?
October 10th, which is, I think, in 22 days, 6 hours, and 9 minutes.
Yeah, you're not keeping track, are you?
No, not at all. I'm counting down the minutes because it's I have a limited time to continue to work, build my brand, recalibrate, as my book talks about, and just also spend family time. And it's been it's a juggle because you know that glass sand hour where it's slowly coming down. I've never really felt this much pressure of that, but I definitely have it now.
Yeah, man. And what's one of the last things you want to do? Do you have like a bucket list for this last month?
And show my children, that this is adversity and how you handle it. So every day I'm doing that. But as far as a bucket list, just spending a lot of quality time with my family as much as I can.
Yeah, got to get it in.
Yeah, just because I know I'm going to be non-existent basically, other than phone calls, and my wife will come down and see me, and of course some of my kids will, but 8 months, 6 months I should be home with good time. So it's not the end of the world. It's just it's going to be tough just being away from them, but I was committing a crime and I knew it, so I knew I had exposure, and just never really thought I would be here today. That's for sure.
Yeah. And, speaking of what you were charged with, running a illegal bookmaking operation, money laundering, can you tell us how you got to become, one of our nation's biggest illegal bookies?
My operation was ran very clean. And I say that because unlike a lot of bookmakers, I didn't wait for the losers to pay the winners. I tried to pay everybody on Monday, if not Tuesday, if you're out of the state. And I think that facilitation and the bettors, customers knew that they were going to be paid very promptly and swiftly. And also I really tried to build relationships. It was more than, the business was, I was a CEO of an organization. It was just illegal. And I ran it from all the way down to my agents, to my runners, to be very professional, truly. And I think that's what separated me from other bookmakers. And of course, the main reason is I was willing to take bets most bookmakers were not.
Like what?
$1 million on a football game, just bigger dollar amounts, bigger credit lines, more risk, more. I tend to have a lot of gambling in me, so for that reason, some bookmakers are a little risk adverse, and they're more balanced. They're definitely running a business as if one customer can't defeat them. I've been through that myself. I've allowed that to occur. So, but as I got bigger financially, I just was able to take more, and I got pushed a lot of business that other bookmakers would push away.
And how big was your book revenue-wise on an annual level?
I mean, I took over $1 billion in wagers in 2023.
Wow.
Obviously, one customer given facts from the government were $326 million being
Yeah.
Ippei, but he was not my biggest client. He was my biggest loss of a client, biggest customer in that regard, but I had clients that were with me numerous years. So he was 18, 20-month window. He obviously was betting a lot, $326 million, 19,000 bets, but in that regard, I had a lot of players that were of his caliber.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll start with, how did you meet Mizuhara, and when did you know his association with Ohtani?
I met him, I believe it was September of 2021. I may be wrong on the date, but it's right in that area. I believe it is September. I went to a Angels Padres game in San Diego. After the game, I was invited to a private poker game slash just, I would call it really a get together, because not everyone there was playing poker. But after the game, these athletes get bored. They go back to the hotel. Some watch movies, some go to sleep, some hang out with their families. Most of them are single, the younger ones, or maybe haven't developed a family yet, and they're on the road. So they play poker, or they gamble, or they mess around. In this poker game, there was probably 3 or 4 Angels players, and then first base coach, I think, third base coach, and then maybe 8 or 10 other regular Joes, me being one of those. In that process, there's probably 13, 15 guys in the room, and Ippei Mizuhara was one of them. So that's how it all started. And then he was actually placing a wager on his cell phone. I don't know what organization he was betting with, but my friend, who was an agent for me, saw that and just mentioned to him, hey, listen, Matt can facilitate that for you as well. So that's how the relationship started.
Wow. And did you recognize him? Did you know who he was
Yeah,
when you saw him?
I definitely knew who he was. I mean, I didn't know it was going to lead to this conversation, to be honest, but it was a really small account. It was $1,000 a game, $8,000 credit line, which is very normal for an interpreter or someone of that caliber who makes that kind of money. And it just escalated beyond fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was Ippei's biggest bet with you?
I believe he laid 160,000 on a game. I did cap him at 100,000 a game, so the game I think was a soccer bet for minus 160, something like that. But never more than that. But the amount of volume he had at 100,000 a game and parlays and just so many wagers, some of these games had tremendous amount of equity riding on them for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And reading through the texts that were made and that
Public.
the government released as public, it's very clear that he had a problem gambling. Not just that he was losing, but it was very clear it was compulsive.
Sure.
At what point did you realize that you had someone who had a gambling problem on your book?
Very early. I'd be lying otherwise. Like I would say within maybe 6 weeks of meeting him, because I, being a degenerate gambler, somebody who gambled my whole life and clearly bet every day and bet way too many bets and too many games, could recognize that really quickly. And a guy who's betting soccer games that we've never heard of or in countries I've never heard of, throughout the night, all night long, it's definitely not a recreational bettor.
Yeah.
So that was pretty obvious. But the reality is some people do that and they can control just the dollar amounts, and it still could be recreational even if they're betting a lot of games. But he was clearly chasing, and he clearly was upping everything and getting out of control. I would say I didn't realize that until probably the third wire transfer. In fact, I didn't even know they were from Shohei Ohtani until the third wire transfer.
Wow.
The first two, well, mind you, I was receiving these wires, but not to me directly.
Yeah.
I've been debanked, so I had to move them through, which is part of my money laundering charges. I had to allow other people to receive them for me.
Right. And there's a couple things in there I want to get to, but the first wire transfer from Ohtani's bank account,
Right.
when did it come, and how did you respond to seeing that name?
I think it wasn't. I don't know the facts on this. The case would verify this, but I don't think it was till like maybe December or November. I don't even remember. It wasn't right away.
Yeah. Of 21.
Yes,
Yeah.
end of 21. Maybe it was November. But and the reason for that is we set up an $8,000 credit line. I raised it to 40. He requested to raise it again. I raised it to 300. And then I made him send the wire because I wasn't going to keep extending credit, especially to an interpreter of this kind of money. And then once he showed proof of payment, he asked for 500,000, and then I immediately did that, of course, because he showed that, that he paid. And then more importantly, he didn't seem ever I mean, you saw the text messaging. You could tell he's a degenerate.
Yeah.
But you also don't ever see any signs of distress.
Right.
He even makes fun of himself. He laughs about it. Says, I'm terrible at this, which
Yeah.
as a gambler, I've done that many times. When you lose 6 in a row, you're just like, I'm terrible, but you still want to do it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like he ever said to me, oh my God, I'm in massive trouble. Or it was more like, hey, this is funny. I'm really bad at this. Can you give me another 500,000? You give me another million. And of course, the payments were coming. So why would I not?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I mean, people ask me, how do you give an interpreter $40 million in credit?
Right.
I didn't view him as an interpreter. I viewed him as a customer that was paying. And where he got his money and how much he had was none of my business.
Right.
Now, in hindsight, I wish I would have, because I don't want to see Ippei Mizuhara in prison.
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't want to have a tarnish towards Shohei Ohtani's reputation. So, and I definitely don't want to be going to prison myself. So,
Right.
all three things, nobody really has won.
Yeah.
It's been a bad situation for all three parties, and that's really a bad ending to a story.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so when that wire transfer from Ohtani's bank account came, what was your reaction? Like,
Well, I can't swear here, so I'll keep it clean.
you can swear. We can bleep it out.
It was absolutely holy, because the reality is of course the greed side of me was like, now I know this is unlimited funds,
Right.
And this is exactly who I technically was hoping it was betting, because Ippei Mizuhara clearly doesn't make $20 million or whatever the number, 40 million ends up becoming. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't just let him cut his own head off, because technically if an interpreter blows $2 million, I don't care how much he has saved, it's probably going to be depleted pretty quickly, unless his parents are wealthy or something. So when I knew what Shohei Ohtani, the wires were, then I was very excited.
Yeah.
And also, ego-wise, I mean, what better customer do you have on the planet than that?
Yeah.
You have a guy who's going to make $1 billion, really, between endorsements and et cetera. And you have a guy who is, I think, the best player ever to set foot on the earth. So, I'm thinking, to me, this is an unlimited supply of money.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't enjoy it. Not only was I gambling at the highest levels, but
Yeah.
I'm a guy who likes finer things. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
So it was feeding my appetite. It was also feeding my lifestyle. And frankly, I was enjoying it.
Right. Yeah. And, to be clear, anybody who's tuning in now, Ohtani was not found guilty of anything.
Correct.
He is denied ever gambling with you,
Right.
and Ippei copped to essentially stealing money from Ohtani without his
Right.
knowledge.
Correct.
Yeah. I guess, the one thing that I think is interesting, like kind of the ripple effects of your case and the scandal at large is, is the integrity of sports now in question? Like, can fans believe any game? Again, Ohtani wasn't gambling with
Right.
you.
Sure.
But, with the proliferation of sports betting, legal sports betting, and obviously a $65 billion underground market with illegal sports books, how do you think that has changed sports?
2018 was when
PASPA.
Okay, so the minute that occurred, I knew this was going to happen, because I don't care what anyone says. When you allow legalized gambling and it's less taboo and everyone's doing it, you're going to have more problems with people that are going to do things that they shouldn't be.
Right.
It's no different than alcohol. When alcohol became more available to the world, there's more DUIs, there's more problems. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I'm just saying there's no different in gambling. So now you have a 21-year-old kid who probably wasn't going to gamble maybe until later in Vegas here and there a little bit, is now doing it every day.
Yeah.
And now you take an athlete who's 18, 19 and doesn't have much money and wants to drive a nice car, or maybe creates his own debt, or maybe he's going to college and really is broke and his parents are barely getting him through it. And he's not going to make it in the pros, but he has an opportunity to maybe miss a basket,
Yeah.
or win a game by 4 instead of 12 when they're killing him, but still winning the game and not changing the outcome of what they deem is
Right.
important. And he can make $1 million or $100,000 or 20 grand, doesn't matter. It's just a lot of temptation,
Yeah.
So, and then keep in mind, a lot of these guys are going to create their own gambling debt of gambling perfectly legally,
Yeah.
or illegally, and now they're going to have a problem on their hands. So they can't pay somebody, maybe they're being threatened, or maybe it's just pressure. Now it's like, oh, here's an easy way out. And we're seeing it. I mean,
Yeah.
what, last week or week before, 13 college
Yeah,
players.
NCAA players across 6 teams. Yeah.
And then you have pros doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
we had
Calvin Ridley.
the Porter case.
Right.
And there's been many that haven't been brought up yet or found or, maybe got away with, let's be honest. And the integrity of the sport is imperative, let's be honest. Nobody's going to watch sports if they can't count on the reality of the players.
Right. Yeah.
So I understand the league's problem, but they clearly are making a lot of money off of gambling and endorsements and deals with television. And let's be honest, most of these stations, TV networks, would be out of business without sports.
Right. I mean, ESPN has its own sports book. Yeah.
Correct. Right. And I don't blame them.
No,
I get it.
I mean, it's a smart business opportunity. But and so do you think the integrity of sports has been lost, or is it in crisis? Like, what's your take?
I don't think it's been lost, but I think it's definitely has some, I'm going to call it outside issues that they're going to have to maintain and figure out because, again, I mean, some of these, whether you're making, I mean, what was it? There was one NBA player that I can't remember which one. He makes millions on millions, and he had a accusation. I don't even know where it stands. Rozier, right? Mm-hmm. I don't even know what happened with him, Terry Rozier. But if a guy like that, and I'm not saying he did, I don't know the facts, but if he's willing to jeopardize integrity of the game or be involved in that when he makes that much money, that's really scary.
Yeah.
Not defending anyone who does any of it, but at least there's some like sense in it for like a young kid who's never going to be in the NBA and just sees a way out. Still a poor decision, the wrong decision, but I at least can understand their thinking more than I can a Rozier. That being said, I don't know how you really stop it other than crucifying a player if they're caught involved. I mean, to the point where they're so scared. I know this when I was a child, when I did something wrong and I knew the punishment was drastic, I avoided that. And I think that's common in all people, So I think there would be a lot more or a lot less problems if they came down extremely hard on everybody, which they are. I'm not saying they're not.
Yeah.
But they got to be so scared that they can't even toe that line. I don't know for a college athlete though. I mean, what does that mean? You put them in prison for 5 years? I mean, that's
right.
That doesn't help the situation either. So I don't really know the answer, but there's definitely an issue.
Yeah. And from your vantage point of running your own book, Ippei wasn't your biggest client. I don't know if you can say or willing to say, but like, who else were your clients? If you could give any details, like, are we talking sports team owners, athletes, groundskeepers?
I'll be honest with you. This book, if you've read it or if you haven't, I don't disclose really anyone. There's a few names I put in there that I wasn't really happy with because of the way they left our relationship. So I didn't mind mentioning. But I don't disclose any athletes for a reason, just out of respect. I don't want to cause any drama for someone else's life because of my problem.
Yeah.
That being said, I did have some very big CEOs and people that were very well known in the world that were betting with me, but none illegally, meaning none were rigging games or betting on their own sport.
Yeah.
The one thing I did make sure of, if I had an athlete, is that they weren't betting on their own sport.
Yeah.
Not even for the integrity of the game. Of course, that's important to me, but truly, selfishly, I didn't want to be involved in a rigged operation of sports because I know if you're the bookmaker in that situation, I don't believe the prosecution or judge is going to give you any leniency whatsoever, and I don't blame them.
Right.
Even though it's not your fault, it's not like you. But especially if you have a play in that, if you're involved, the sentencing is going to be rough.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's really interesting. And going back to your case, obviously, Resorts World got involved, and that's how you were caught, essentially, right? The investigation into Resorts World, and their alleged breaking of know your customer laws and source of fund laws, and how porous is the two markets, like illegal gambling and legal gambling at the casino level? Like, are these distinct two worlds, or are they the same world with different neighborhoods? Like, how would you describe how these two economies work together?
Well, the legal side is always going to be there. I know that the government wants to get rid of it. So does DraftKings, FanDuel. I get it. But if you think about the reasons illegal bookmakers are in business, it's really something that when you have to, the government has been so harsh on casinos and banks for
Yeah.
KYC to the point where it's actually hurting them. It's hurting not only the banks and casinos, but it's actually kind of putting people who don't want to bet legally. They're forcing their hand to bet illegally because I'm going to give you an example. If you are a surgeon and you are hiding your gambling from your wife and you don't want a KYC / financial colonoscopy of filling out all this stuff and sending a wire to DraftKings or however you fund it, all of that's traceable. And it's not that you're trying to hide from the government. Maybe you're just trying to hide your gambling issue from your wife or your children or your friends or whatever.
Yeah.
Because, at the end of the day, it's for entertainment. But let's be honest, most people lose. I would
Yeah.
say 99% do it over time.
Yeah.
And a lot of men are definitely not disclosing to their wives what they're doing.
Yeah.
And some women to their boyfriends or husbands, right? This is no different. But I say that in general because I've seen so many men who hide from their wives how much they're losing gambling. And I
Yeah.
understand they don't want to have an argument
Right.
but they still want to do it. So putting everything through DraftKings or FanDuel is going to put eyes on all of that. There's bank records, there's wires, there's credit cards, whatever.
Yeah.
Betting with a legal bookmaker, I mean, you can go grab, $2,000 in cash and say, you spend it on this or whatever and go pay the bookmaker that way or send a
Yeah.
Venmo or there's so many ways and it doesn't say DraftKings or FanDuel or
Right.
MGM. That's one issue. The other issue is as a bettor, because I'm a bettor as well, or at least I was, when you bet with a bookmaker illegal, you get credit. And that credit is so imperative for two reasons. Number one, let's just, for argument's sake, say you're a $1,000 per game wager on average. Okay, so if I have an account with DraftKings and on Sunday I want to bet 5 games, I need $5,500 put up front,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't mean I'm going to lose $5,500. I might go 2 and 3 and
Yeah.
lose, what is that, $1,300,
Right.
okay? That being said, if I did with a credit bookmaker, I can get $20,000 in credit
Yeah.
and bet 20 games that day and not have to wait for this game to grade or win or lose to bet the next game. And ultimately, that's what betting is about, is entertainment and action on the games. It's not really about money. I mean, people claim they're betting for money, but most gamblers, of course, they're trying to win. Of course, we're all trying to win. And some people just end up losing and they quit. But most people are gambling because it's entertainment. They don't, whether they would admit it or not, it's really the truth.
Yeah.
So when you watch a game for 3 hours and you bet money on it, it sweetens the game.
Yeah.
That's why I gambled.
Right.
But of course, I'm trying to win. That being said, if you have credit, you can bet all the games you want. And here's the other issue. NFL, for me, Pacific time, 10 a.m., all the games, right? They're ending at roughly 105, 110, some going to overtime. Well, the other games are kicking off. Some are at 105, some are at 130. The league has even changed the timing of the games for this reason, for gambling purposes.
Oh, wow.
It used to be all at 105. Now it's like one game, and the rest go off at 130. The reason for that is because these games have to end, and these apps and whatnot need to grade the games and let the people bet the next set of games.
Wow.
People don't realize that, but that's a
Yeah.
reality. So the issue is that if you're betting on not credit, you may not have the funds available, and your game might be up 44-7 with a minute left in the game, and then you want to bet the Jets versus the Steelers, and the game's going off, and now you missed out.
Right.
Yes, you can bet live, but what if the team you bet, Jets, let's say, in this case, are up 7-0?
Yeah.
Now you just lost the line that you would have bet.
Right.
The game is gone, and you bet a bad line. You end up losing a bet you would have won.
Yeah.
Happens all the time. So credit is so much easier to work with than non-credit. And
Yeah.
I'm going off on a tangent here, but
No, this is, I was going to ask you about
Yeah.
like why people, when you can just open up an app on your phone and
Right.
gamble legally, why would you
Yeah.
gamble illegally?
And,
But-
and here's the other thing. How much of a pain in the neck, let's just say at 10 a.m., argument's sake, you had a $5,000 credit line, or not credit line, $5,000 post-up account at DraftKings, and you went, I don't know, 0-3, and you have $800 left in your account. Now the 1 o'clock games are coming. You want to bet. Well, you got to go get a credit card. You got to load the account. You got to, I don't know the logistics. It depends on the person. You can't send a wire on a Saturday or Sunday. So if it's a credit card or a bank transaction, that doesn't happen in 2 seconds.
right.
Now the game's going off and you want to bet 3 or 4 games. Well, it's real easy. You just call your bookie and say, hey, Matt, I need another 10 grand in credit.
Yeah.
Okay, Will, no problem. Done. It takes 12 seconds and you have the credit.
Yeah.
So there's so many little nuances that people don't really think about.
Yeah.
All they think is, oh, it's a backdoor bookie that's going to hit you with a baseball bat in the dark alley if you don't pay.
Yeah.
Yes, there are terms of violence that do occur in that situation. It's really minimal compared to what it used to be. And those bookmakers are complete idiots because they're going to be in worse position than I'm sitting today, and they're going to be out of business. And that's why most of them don't do those things.
Yeah.
They work it out or they write it off as a loss. But it's not quite the taboo, bad, back alley stuff that people think.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And what's interesting is, all the software all the bookmaking software out of Costa Rica has kind of enabled bookmakers like you, former
For sure.
bookmaker, to kind of streamline their businesses and not have to deal with setting odds, and you
It's
just basically
seamless.
recruit players
Correct.
and collect money and give a portion of your revenue to
Absolutely.
somebody in Costa Rica.
And they're brilliant because they have no financial stress. All they're doing is servicing, as you said, they're being
Yeah.
a facilitator. But for them, it's easy because whether the client wins or loses is not their prerogative. They just want to make sure the bookmaker's happy with the service, and the clients are, of course, and that's really all they care about.
Right.
And they're getting paid $8 to $10, or some places even more, some or less, per week, per account, per customer. You have 1 million bookmakers across the country right now. I mean, there's over 1 million. People don't realize it. I say that because there's a lot of guys that have 8 guys or 10 guys. They're not this conglomerate bookmaker, but they're still bookmaking. They have 8 or 10 guys, and they keep it small, and no one will ever know about them, and they don't have to worry about the law, and they're making a good little $100,000 on the side, or 50, or whatever the number is. And there's 1 million of those that are out there. So my level, not as many, of course, because you're talking about millions of dollars, exposure, we're worrying about feds, and there's so many things that come along with that, that most people are smart enough to avoid and not go down this road. But it's hard when you're growing a business to, when do I pull back the reins and how do I stay off the radar? I mean, it's easier said than done.
Right. Yeah. And would you say there's somebody like you in every city across the U.S.?
I would say everywhere, especially the major cities, of course. There's more of them, where there's more action, more people. But even the guys who, let's say, Des Moines, Iowa, there's a bookmaker, or many, in Des Moines, Iowa.
Right.
Whether it's some little town in Kentucky, there's a bar somewhere where there's a bookmaker, and people know to go talk to him and get an account, or golf course, or whatnot. And even if there's not, there's a bookmaker that has a runner that will go down there and deal with these people, or send a Venmo or a Cash App or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, there's availability for illegal bookmakers throughout the country.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I find that fascinating. It's now easier than ever to gamble legally, but we have this, $65 billion illegal sports betting market in the U.S. And, we're seeing this in take any category in vices like tobacco. Obviously, cigarettes are legal. In New York City, they estimate 50% of the cigarettes sold in the city are illegal. And in terms of that, they were smuggled from a low tax state. So people are doing tax arbitrage. Like, I'm going to buy a truck full of cigarettes in Virginia, where the taxes are super low, and then sell them to a bodega, and you can get a phony stamp, and then you make a lot more money that way. And with marijuana, the same thing. Legalization across 40 states, but these two, the licit and illicit side of any of these industries, are porous because there's money to be made from tax arbitrage, or, in a bookmaking case, credit. And for a player case in bookmaking, if you win, you don't pay taxes on those winnings unless you want to.
Well,
but
sorry to go off subject, but you made a good point. I live in California, so I'll speak about this. I had
where sports betting is not legal.
Correct. Yeah. But weed is, marijuana.
Right. Yeah.
And I had a ton of marijuana weed dispensary owners that bet with me back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Tons. And many reasons. One, they need to wash money.
Yeah.
2,
but how would they wash money with an illegal book?
Well, they would pay you in cash, and then if they won, they'd like a Venmo or Cash App or wire transfer to pay them.
Right.
Because they need money in banks.
Yeah.
So I would facilitate a bank wire to a gentleman that won $40,000. The next week he lost $60,000. You give me all cash.
Right.
So now he just cleaned his money.
Yeah.
Just by gambling.
Right.
And that happens a lot. And my point is, going back to the marijuana industry, most marijuana people in California, at least that I know, have to have some sort of dark area,
Yeah,
gray area,
backdoor product. Yeah.
they can't survive,
Right.
Because the taxes are so high.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
so
they are.
they make it so tough on them, and it's not that they really want to. It's just they can't even survive, and they can't compete.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult task. On of course the government wants their piece, or in this
Yeah.
case, it's actually the state
Yeah.
because it's federally.
And the federal government, they get taxed under this tax code 280E, which is specifically written for anyone who traffics Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 substances, and weed is still Schedule 1.
Sure.
So, and that's like a 60%, on the low end, it's like 60% of gross revenue.
Which is really
is
funny because
insane.
it's illegal.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
but they're okay to receive their taxes
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, and any dispensary, most of them are. Now most business and dispensaries are done through cash, but there's these things called cashless ATMs, which is kind of a gray area, and then ACH transfers. But those ACH transfers, that's on the federal payments rails,
Wow.
and so like Visa and MasterCard, which are credit card companies, obviously don't allow cannabis purchases.
Correct.
But the federal government allows cannabis purchases on ACH rails. And then at the end of the day, say a dispensary has an account at Wells Fargo or Chase or, most likely a credit union,
Right.
a regional bank.
Most of them, yeah.
They deposit it at the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve will debit that bank account wherever
Wow.
that is.
I wasn't
But,
aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure, I've been kind of wondering, you and I have been talking since, like we were saying earlier,
Yeah, a couple
since
years.
since right when you got arrested.
Right.
This other illegal bookmaker I know gave me your number, and we
Sure.
started talking. One thing that I've been wanting to ask you is and one thing I just didn't understand is, why did you keep offering Mizuhara credit? Like at one point he was, what was it, 40 million down, or
yeah, he owes
he still owes you?
24 million, which I'll never receive.
Right.
That was kind of it's a great question. I don't know why I chose 24 as a hard stop, but if I allowed him to continue asking, or I gave him what he requested, it
Yeah.
probably would be 50.
Right.
So I had to have some sort of stopping point. But the truth is, he was sending me $500,000 every few weeks, regardless of what the balance was.
Okay.
So he wanted to play, and as a gambler myself,
Yeah.
I didn't feel. I mean, this sounds, greedy, but I am greedy. But
Yeah.
I didn't want to give him too much credit because, as you could tell, it was way too much already.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I wanted to be kind enough to give him a chance to win some of his money back.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't feel that he would, but at the end of the day, I knew what it feels like to not be able to play as a gambler.
Yeah.
There's no worse feeling. I mean, being stuck in Las Vegas and, I brought $2 million and I have no money left. I mean, I just want to leave.
Yeah.
You don't even want to be in that city. That's a feeling I know he was having because he would even disclose it to me.
Yeah.
And I wanted to at least be kind enough. There's moments you can look at the text messaging where instead of giving me more credit, I gave him free play.
Yeah.
Which is a free opportunity just to win some money back
Right.
without even risking anything.
Yeah.
So it kind of shows you like where I felt about him.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he was a great customer. He paid me a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, as a human being, I still wanted to let him feed his addiction because at this point we were already so deep it didn't matter.
Right.
And
And so were you under the understanding, like, all right, $24 million in
Yeah.
the hole, who gives, like, just, I'm not going to see all this money. It's not like you're outlaying
to be honest,
money. Like,
I'm telling you the truth. I think he would have paid every penny of it.
oh, wow.
If he continued to have access to it.
Yeah.
I don't know when this would have blew up. Let me just say this. If I wasn't raided by the feds, I believe he would have continued to pay me.
Yeah.
Until something happened. And we still don't know the truth, right?
Yeah.
Only Ippei and Shohei know the real honest truth of. And what I mean by that is I do believe Shohei Ohtani never gambled and bet sports, but was he aware? Did he help his friend? I mean, that's the question mark, the biggest question mark in my question. But I do believe he would have continued to send me money.
Yeah.
And so why would I not continue to do business with a guy who's going to send me $500,000 every few weeks?
Right.
I'm getting $1 million a month.
Right.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, it is. And so I guess, like, obviously part of the answer to that question is money. Part of it is emotional, that, like, you're a self-described degen
100%.
yourself.
Yeah.
But, like, what did you expect to get out of this? Like, why, you're sitting at a bar, you're wasted, bartender's going to cut you off.
Right.
Especially if you're not paying your
Sure.
tab, right? Then
course.
it's going to get out of here.
Right.
What made you, like, what were you expecting to get out of it?
he paid me already $16.2 million, right? So my theory was, what do I have to lose at this point?
Yeah.
All I have to do is continue to be kind enough to let him do kind of what he wants without getting this any further down the road as far as the dollar amount. But if I can continue to get $500,000 every few weeks, or even if it's every month, and he's happy and he's playing, everybody's winning in my mind. I mean, of course, he's not winning, but I'm facilitating the service that he requested.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, a bookmaker, legal or illegal, is a service. The service is really simple. I'm taking action. You have the choice to make the bets. You have the choice to decide how much you bet, how much you're willing to risk or lose. And the reality is I provided that service. He never showed signs of, oh, I'm going to hang myself, or I can't believe. I mean, he would make jokes, but it was never like, oh my God, I'm stealing this money.
Yeah.
The conversations were all put on, the federal indictment.
Yeah.
So the world can see kind of at least where I came from and why I was doing what I was doing. And of course, I was getting $500,000 every 2 weeks. I keep saying that, so because that's reality. I was running a business, and if he would have said to me, "Oh my God, this is ruining my life," the conversations would have been different. Of course, I still would have tried to collect my money. Of course, I would have, stopped it at that point as far as allowing more credit, which I did really at 24. We were there for a while.
Yeah.
If you go back and look, it was probably the last, I'm guessing, 6 months, 8 months. I don't know. He got there quick, and then I had to put a stop to it.
Yeah.
Because, again, he would have been 50 million, 40 million, who knows?
Right.
And then the number becomes monopoly.
Yeah.
Which it already kind of was.
It kind of was,
Yeah,
right. And it's
it
like
was.
you giving, bumping him up in credit. You weren't outlaying, spending money. It was, funny money until it was
Correct.
like, well, you lost and now you have to pay me.
Right. And here's the problem. Like, the more funny money it becomes, the less likely I am to get paid.
Yeah.
So I really, truly wanted him to win some back.
Right.
I wanted him to get down to like 8 or 10.
Yeah.
Because then I knew it was a lot more feasible to get paid no matter who this was.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been stiffed by people that had not as much money as Shohei Ohtani, but a lot of money. And they still just choose not to pay. In fact, I think more honorable people usually are people that you would less suspect. They would literally break their back to pay because they're just, raised properly and honorable and, want to, keep their word.
Yeah.
Some of the wealthier people, there's a reason they're wealthy.
Yeah.
They're not going to let go of some money sometimes. So keeping it, controlled is very important as a bookmaker.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. And one thing I was also wondering, and I mean this in a very respectful manner, obviously, but one thing
You won't hurt my feelings.
yeah, totally. Your scandal almost took down yourself, took down Ippei, almost took down Ohtani, right?
Sure.
Almost ruined baseball, almost,
really did.
took down Las Vegas. I mean, the CEO of Resorts World had to step down and lost his gambling license. The company got a wrist slap, $10 million fine for knowingly taking, bookmakers' illegal money. Like, what is your feeling of responsibility in this? I just think it's like this awesome weight on your shoulders. Again, almost ruined baseball, almost took down Vegas, took down yourself.
Well, let's backpedal. The Vegas part is the opposite. It started with another bookmaker, which led to Scott Sabella, which then led to me.
Yeah.
So I feel like the Vegas part is the opposite of that. They took me down, to be honest. Now, that's just my opinion because that's the way it went to the web.
Right.
That being said, that web led to me, which led to Ippei, which led to Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm not a victim. I don't play victim.
Yeah.
I have hands in this. I'm definitely dirty as far as I was running a legal business. And clearly I could have affected drastically baseball, which it did for a little bit. I think it's helped it because, not my case, but Shohei Ohtani just merely has overcome adversity and became the best. Well, he already was the best player, but shown he's the best player, in my opinion, ever by winning the World Series, winning MVP, 50-50. He's doing it again this year. He's incredible. So that really helped pacify this. But I tried to show the world by cooperating with the federal government and giving all the true facts that he never placed a wager, which they had to do their homework. But they ran IPs and ran his phone and did everything, and they saw that he never placed any bets. That's on them. I can't do that investigation. But I gave them everything as far as all the wagers, my website, all the factual information, because I really did want to show that what I knew was not Shohei Ohtani making these bets.
Right.
And I did show that he never bet on baseball because I'm a big fan of baseball. I'm a big fan of Dodgers, Angels, all the organizations. And I didn't want the integrity of the game to suffer because of my operation or what happened, and I never planned on this happening.
Yeah.
But I really, it was the fastest case ever in the history to be open and closed in the federal government.
Yeah,
ever.
it was so quick. I mean, even the indictment, it took like a couple of
3 months, I think.
3 months,
Yeah.
which was like
And
lightning
you could look
speed.
it up. It's the fastest ever in
Yeah,
history.
right.
I mean, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
So they're smart. Baseball wanted, their golden boy back on the field.
Yeah.
Dodgers did, and clearly the world did. And
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I'm
Yeah.
glad he's back on the field.
Yeah.
I love watching the guy play.
Yeah, don't mess with baseball.
No,
Go
I
to
mean,
prison
it's
quick.
exactly. And, I again, I don't want to play victim. I do
Yeah.
feel like I'm a little bit of the fall guy for the Vegas part,
Mm-hmm.
not baseball and all that. That came from my operation. But
Yeah.
the Vegas part, I feel like I kind of got, and Scott Zabella, to be honest, kind of got on a stick,
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
And Damian LaForbes, too.
Yeah. Right. Who is the first bookie that basically led to Resorts World and led
Correct.
to you. Yeah.
Well,
Right.
he's not the first. The first bookie was Wayne Nix.
Oh, right. Yeah. Wayne Nix. Yes.
Damien was also part of my case.
Yeah.
And he was a bookmaker and a friend of mine that got caught up because he was going to Resorts World as
Yeah.
well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And one thing I find interesting and wanted to see what you think about, have you heard of companies like Genius Sports and Sports Radar?
Heard of them. Don't
So
follow
they're
them per se.
software, they're tech companies that basically, they do many things, but part of their offerings is statistical analysis and like forensics, and to stop especially sports, professional athletes from gambling,
Okay.
or to catch any kind of corruption.
Funny business.
Yeah, exactly. How effective do you think these companies are? I mean, I think Genius Sports is the one that claims credit for
Porter?
no, Calvin Ridley. I
Okay.
think they caught Calvin Ridley.
Okay.
How effective do you think these companies are?
I can't speak too much about both of them because I don't know a
Yeah.
ton of data. But based on what you said, I could speak for this. Any company that is looking for weird or strange transactions is brilliant because that is a way to detect problems. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. If the Guardians pitchers have or not them particular, but that case or that situation has all of a sudden $1 million bet on a ball or a strike,
Yeah.
and the average bet on that is $28,000 for the year, clearly there's something going on, especially when you go look at the film and he bounces it 10 feet in front of the plate.
Right.
So that stuff needs to be done.
Yeah.
They need to jump on that quickly. I actually believe, I don't know those two companies, but I think MLB, NFL, they all should be having their own company that does all of this. They should be in link with DraftKings, FanDuel, et cetera. And sadly, even illegal bookmakers to a degree. I mean, let's be honest. If people are sharp, they're going to bet it through illegal bookmakers,
Yeah.
not legal. Because when I was in the business, I wouldn't call federal authorities and say, "Hey, I just received millions of dollars in bets. By the way, I'm a bookie. Come get me." But I think something fishy is going on here.
Yeah,
So
right.
if there's some sort of way that that could happen as well, I don't know how that would work, but that would be brilliant because at the end of the day, even illegal bookmakers do not want the integrity of the game to go away.
Right.
They really don't. They're just providing a service. I'll speak for all of them. I can guarantee you they don't because they'd be out of business.
I
Or
was just going to say,
Yeah.
they everyone involved, legal or illegal, like if the integrity is out
it's
the
in
window,
trouble.
then no one wants to put
No,
money down.
I mean the handle would be half of what it is
Right.
or less. And at the end of the day, like as an ex-illegal bookmaker, I truly enjoyed sports. I gambled myself. I enjoy all parts of it. And I would not want to gamble if I knew the kicker's going to miss on purpose.
Right.
I want to gamble because I'm betting and hoping he makes it or misses it, but not because he's fixing a game.
So, in terms of, what, from your perspective, like how pervasive is kind of insider trading, if you will, from the pro sports world? Like, are we seeing owners, athletes, groundskeepers? I've one illegal bookmaker that I talk with. I was telling you about him, who always gets the tip of what color the Gatorade is for the Super Bowl, and he was right the last two times. I haven't put money down. Maybe this year I will.
Yeah.
But yeah, how pervasive is it? Like, is everyone a suspect when it comes to?
Well, that particular, it's funny, the color of the Gatorade I've known prior to me getting in trouble almost every year for the last 10 years. And it's because these professional, sharp algorithm people, they go hunting for accounts.
Right.
that's how a bookmaker is going to find out about those particular things. I'm not going to say, of course, that's the wrong integrity because you are getting information you already know.
Right.
At least they're not rigging it per se. I think it's a little different than a guy missing a basket.
Yeah.
It's still the same concept. But that being said, as a bookmaker, they're the first to know usually, or last because they just got the bet through them and they lost.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I heard a lot about tennis. There's a lot of lower level tennis rigging going on.
Yeah.
UFC, one major UFC fight which happened and everybody knows about it.
Right.
They threw that manager out and the fighter, he's out forever. That stuff is going on in soccer a lot.
Yeah.
Those sports in particular, I shouldn't say UFC, just that one I know of.
Yeah.
But people could take a dive in that pretty easy.
Right. Lower paid athletes like tennis, it's an individual sport.
Correct.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about tennis. I could lose a set and still come back and destroy the guy if I'm that much better than him. And maybe I just threw a set, but I still won the match.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So you're about to surrender October 10. You're going to serve 12 months in one day, maybe less if things.
Good time. Yeah. God
good
willing.
time. What's your life going to be like when you get out?
Amazing, because I'm rebuilding my brand. I'm sculpting, as I described in my book, I'm sculpting a statue of myself, and I'm chipping at it, becoming a better person, a better version of myself. I've been living my life with looking over my shoulder for literally the last 30 years.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I made a lot of money. I had great memories, but that's still a dark place to live because it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you have an emptiness inside, it's a tough way to live. So even today, I'm going to prison. I'm probably the best, happiest person I've ever been. I have the best relationship with my wife and kids. And yeah, we're going through a really tough time, but I'm using it as an opportunity to just overcome adversity and be stronger in the mind.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And when you come out, do you think, what are you going to do? You obviously wrote a book. You were just telling me you're talking with the director later this afternoon for maybe a movie about your life. Do you see post-prison life more like Frank Abagnale from, the guy Catch Me If You Can?
Right.
If you've seen that movie.
He's great.
Ended up helping the feds catch people kiting checks and
He did.
all that. Or more like Jordan Belfort, doing motivational speeches.
Well, Frank does that too.
Right, he does.
I would say a combination of both. I don't think I'll be helping the federal government with anything because that's just kind of not my thing. I don't want to be involved with busting bookmakers.
Yeah.
I would facilitate and help them maybe and make it so there's less integrity is still involved in sports somehow. But I think I'm just really inspiring and motivating, making impact on the world by adversity and teaching them, to avoid these mistakes. Hopefully athletes. If I could get in front of Dallas Cowboys and Oakland Raiders and save a amazing athlete or college teams from making a major mistake and ruining their life or career, then that's impactful. And I can get paid a lot of money to do that. So that would be a win-win for me, and that's my plan.
Yeah. Well, good luck, and I hope your serving your sentence goes quickly. And thank you for your time, Matt.
Thank you. Pleasure to meet you, Will.
Yeah, pleasure to
Thank
meet
you.